It's the BeansTalk podcast. I am Joel Loynes. Joining me is Jacob Dickens.
Wow.
Ollie Saville.
Hello.
And Lauren Best.
Greetings.
This week on the podcast, we've got some light news and mostly talking about the games that we've been playing because there's a lot of games. So instead of bullshitting around and horsing around, let's get straight into what we've been playing. Jacob, you've been playing the newest thing.
We want to delve straight into some Crash Bandicoot.
Yeah, tell me about the Wumpa fruit.
That was in case you didn't notice when I introduced myself, that was my kind of semi-best Crash noise.
Oh,
Is that what that was?
Oh, I'm very sorry that was not as accurate as I think you thought. I'm so sorry.
It was a very last second choice, I will be honest. Crash Bandicoot 4 came out a couple of days ago from when we're recording this. And so far, if I was to give a general verdict, I'm very happy with it. Crash Bandicoot is a series that is very near and dear to me. It's probably the first kind of game series I'd say I really properly got into, where I was actually kind of old enough to have conscious thought and appreciate things about games. Because, sure, I played the very first game I played was Sonic the Hedgehog on the Mega Drive, but I was super young, and then I had an N64, which was exclusively used for Pokemon Stadium. But when we got the PS1 was when I was kind of old enough to actually start kind of understanding games a bit more. And yeah, Crash 2 and 3 were really big deal for me. Favorite platform is probably, I know this is gonna rile Joel up.
No, I'm just waiting for Joel to shit all over this.
Tell me why I hate Crash Bandicoot, Joel.
No. I've learned that I am the outlier of.
Fair.
It is a personal problem.
So
tell me, Jacob, how is this game like?
The main takeaway that I've currently got for this right now is they've put in so much more effort into this than A, they needed to, and B, I thought that they would. Because obviously I played the Insane trilogy back when that came out a few years ago, and that was really, really good remake. Set a very nice kind of foundation for what they could have used to then build upon it, because obviously it sold pretty well, and it's probably the success of the Insane trilogy that made them think, oh, maybe we should just do another original Crash game and actually just do it right this time.
So yeah, that Insane trilogy is basically what sparked off Activision going, oh right, okay, Spyro,
People
Tony
like
Hawk,
these old games. Yeah,
these things still sell.
These things still sell, and also we're desperate for something new. Well, I say new, but because Guitar Hero failed, Call of Duty sales were slipping, Blizzard.
Blizzard's a whole other mess.
Yeah. So that Insane trilogy, was that a 1-to-1 remake, or was it that sort of remake where it's it plays as you remember it sort of
thing?
For
the most part, it was trying to stay as faithful to the original games as possible, in that everything pretty much looked how it was supposed to. They didn't really play around too much with, when they were upgrading the graphics, they didn't really change too much. The only thing I would say that was that different really was the physics were slightly different. I remember you saying that Crash felt mushy when you ran around with him before.
Yeah.
He's even heavier in the Insane trilogy, which isn't strictly a bad thing. It's just kind of different, and took a little bit of getting used to.
I guess coming from those, you actually have reverence for those original games. You'll notice the difference. I'm guessing it's the same with Ollie and the Tony Hawk HD remakes, where
little kind of nuances about how it controls and things that you notice. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to take this in, but Lauren is sniggering in the background.
What's happening?
Because I may have let one slip out.
Oh dear me.
and we
it's one too many Wumpa fruit.
We got this tiny little blip on the waveform that was completely missed by you guys, but staring at it and weeping.
I completely didn't notice,
everyone.
But I'm sure Joel's going to isolate that sound clip and amplify it.
I will I will find, and if I can't find it because it didn't actually get picked up on the microphones, I'll just put in a fake fart.
Just put in a fart. It's like, wow.
But
Wow, Ollie, what have you been eating?
There's nothing worse than when you're silently trying to laugh and someone
He's like,
else
"I
is
can't."
looking at you at the same time. And it's like being in school.
I guess
Just makes it
I get
worse.
Yeah.
Very sorry, it's Ollie's bum's fault.
So
please carry on with the civilized
no
Crash
worries.
Bandicoot talk.
Talking about Insane Trilogy and how the physics are changed from the originals to the Insane Trilogy, and actually that is one of the things that seemingly has changed between Insane Trilogy and 4. The physics are again slightly different, which has caused frustration here and there, but ultimately it's not much like the initial kind of transition from original to Insane. It's like it's not strictly a bad thing. It just takes some getting used to.
Yeah.
That's one of the main things that's kind of differing is that the physics and kind of the jumping feels a little bit different. I do have notes here, so I'm gonna just go bust these out.
Oh shit, Jacob wrote notes. He's bought a book report with him.
This is one of my this was one of my most anticipated games of the year, so I'm big into it.
Yeah,
so kind of to get started, they have added in a lot of extra mobility options that weren't in the original games, which is an interesting evolution of it, because as I say, I fully expected them to just kind of take the Insane Trilogy template and just make some like original levels for it, and bang, you got a Crash 4. Whereas now they've added in a crouch jump. So basically, usually in the old games, the highest way you could jump would be to do the slide into the jump. That does the biggest kind of jump arc, as it were. Whereas now you can just do that from a crouching position. You don't have to slide. So you can immediately do like a high jump in a way, which opens up some nice traversal possibilities. Also, you have the double jump from the very start of the game. Now, it's usually something that you get midway through. And when I saw it in the gameplay demos from before, I was like, oh, they've just earned it partway through the game. But no, you have the double jump from the very beginning, which is a first for at least the original Crash-style games, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah. They've added in a spin slide as well. So normally, if obviously the spin is Crash's main attack, or you can slide into things as well. If you want to kind of hit them in the legs, for instance, if they like slashing a sword at you, you can slide under it. There's now a slide and a spin like combination, so you spin and slide at the same time. That's kind of interesting.
You are selling me on Crash 4, Jacob.
They've added in so much stuff, and I'm just like, I can't believe how different this is, and how kind of they obviously looked at the old Crash formula, and they were like, yeah, this kind of works well enough, but it could still be better. One of the main things they've done in regards to that is, normally you have kind of your shadow for where you're going to land when you kind of jump somewhere. They've put an extra highlighted yellow circle around your shadow now that you can turn on and off to make your landings a bit easier.
So I was watching a VTuber play the demo. These VTubers, and I saw it and I was like,
over that part.
Yeah.
It's the future.
It's the future, Ollie. Get with it, old man. So I was watching it and I was like, oh, this fixes that little yellow circle around the shadow fixes 300% of the problems that I have with Crash Bandicoot.
Because I mean, it's something that's turned on from the very start, and I was in two minds about whether I keep it on or not, because I'm like, oh, am I basically playing it on like easy mode if I have this on? But I'm like, if they had it on from the start, it's what the developers intended, kind of for it to be played that way. If it was on from the start,
because I'm guessing, like, you know, it been added for accessibility reasons and stuff like that, but also like, hey, maybe these later levels get really hectic, and it's just that extra edge of information that you need to figure out what to do.
Well, that kind of leads in nicely to my next point, which is the game doesn't fuck around from the very beginning. Like, the first couple of levels are like, yeah, okay, you're getting back into the swing of things, but it doesn't take long for the game to kind of start amping up in difficulty to where I don't feel bad about having the extra shadow reticle on at all. So in one sense, I'm like, yeah, I can see it being added for accessibility reasons, but also I'm like, the game, I feel like in a lot of ways also does kind of expect you to have at least played some Crash Bandicoot before and
I
vaguely
was going to
understand
say,
how it works.
does it kind of recognize you as a player of the original games? Like, are they marketing this knowing that it's not just going to be kids wanting a kids game? There's such a big crowd that obviously is wanting to pick this up for nostalgia purposes.
Yeah,
So
I think it definitely does kind of expect at least a majority of players to have some familiarity with it, because even when you're going through like the early levels where it's teaching you things, it will obviously teach you like, oh, press X twice to double jump because it's like an essential thing. But even the like non-essential movement stuff, like I don't even remember it teaching you kind of like how to slide and stuff. It's just like, yeah, you'll kind of figure out as you go, or you knew it from previously playing other Crash games. I don't think it even prompted you to kind of learn how to do that kind of thing. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I feel like the air that I'm definitely getting with how the difficulty does ramp up quite early on is like, yeah, you know how these games work. You're just kind of reacquainting with it now. Okay, you're back in. Now let's kind of turn up the heat. And kind of in respect of that difficulty, one of the main ways it's kind of done that is through the new masks it's introduced. I don't know how much you guys might have seen of kind of the new, because these are really the new kind of gimmick for this game.
I saw a trailer for it played before a YouTube video of a man in a Crash outfit and a rapper of
yes,
some description.
They love that Crash outfit.
Yeah, the rapper was rapping about the new masks, and I was like, okay,
right.
this. You definitely took your cues from the 90s of like advertising.
So yeah, the main kind of gimmick they've added to these levels is through these masks. Each one has kind of a different ability. I believe there's 4 of them throughout the whole game, and I've got 2 so far. With the first one that you get kind of early on being the phase shifting mask. I think its name is like Lanny Lolo or something like that. But basically, it is a mask where a lot of the terrain in the level ends up becoming like a ghostly blue color. And then when you press the mask button, which is either the trigger or triangle, it phases all of the ghostly blue stuff in as actual platforms, and then some of the other platforms that weren't ghostly blue before become ghostly blue. So it's like you're jumping between 2-dimensional kind of planes, as it were. So there are sometimes like in the later levels where you're making a jump. In the middle of your jump, you're tapping the button to make the next platform appear from the other dimension. You jump onto that and then kind of approach the platforming from that sense. It's something that Crash has never really done before, and it's really, really cool. It's quite difficult.
Don't start selling me on this. That's this is my type of stuff. I love like this, like the 1-to-1, like, you know, while you're doing this thing, you've got to do the other thing.
Yeah,
and
you've got to be conscious kind of what you're jumping into and kind of look a little bit ahead to see, okay, so if I press the button here, this stuff's going to phase in, this stuff is going to phase out. So that's for kind of the early levels. And the second mask that I've got is the, what's it called? It's like the black matter, the dark matter spin. So where you normally spin and you kind of Crash just stops. If you press the trigger, you just spin forever until you press the trigger again. And you can kind of use that when you jump as like a gliding mechanic, kind of like you used to in the old games with the extended spin, but you'd still stop with the extended death tornado spin. Whereas this time you just keep spinning. So yeah, you can use that to like glide over long gaps and stuff like that. It also allows you to kind of jump up a lot higher, adds a lot of verticality to the levels. Yeah, like I say, it's just something that I feel like they were just like, how can we make this one still feel like Crash, but actually add in something a bit different instead of just kind of rehashing the old Insane Trilogy stuff, but just kind of make original levels with it instead. And that kind of makes up the base of kind of how the levels themselves are different. Yeah.
Okay.
There's a few other kind of small things. Gems work differently as well. So I don't know if you remember kind of in the old games, they gems were just like collectibles you could find throughout the levels, or also for collecting all the boxes in each level. And when you collect all the gems, that's what ended up getting you the true ending. Whereas here, there are actually 6 gems you can get in every single level, which then act as kind of a currency / unlockable meter, as it were, for you to unlock skins for Crash and Coco throughout the whole game, which is nice. Once again, it's another way they've kind of reconsidered something that was like, yeah, you just kind of get it because you get it. You collect things in platformers, and it actually gives them a bit more of a purpose throughout the whole game instead of just getting the ending. And the world structure is different as well. So usually in kind of old Crash games, you'd have the kind of hub as it were, and you jump from a selection of like 5 different levels per kind of set of levels, as it were. And they would all be in like different time periods, different zones and stuff. Whereas in this one, it's more kind of focused in the sense that it's like, okay, you start out in the Mad Max style world, and then you move on to the pirate world, and then X, Y, and Z. You do a few levels in each one, which also can involve other characters other than Crash and Coco, because you can also play as Cortex, Dingo Dial, and the newly revamped Torna in this game as well.
Is Torna the weird anthropomorphic?
So she was Crash's girlfriend in Crash 1, but she was very much the damsel in distress kind of Princess Peach of that game. Whereas because this is all about kind of flipping alternate dimensions and things like that, they've got an alternate dimension version of Torna where she's kind of like a badass. She's an adventurer with like a hook shot and shit. So I've played a couple of her levels, and it's a really nice change of pace as well. Once again, something they didn't really need to put in there or consider, but they did, and it's really nice.
It sounds like Crash is back on top after
I believe
basically those I don't know how to describe them.
The
ones
the 360 games and that the Titans
360
games,
the PS2 games, and
yeah, I think Twin Sanity really was kind of the last okay one. The other ones were a bit kind of.
There was that nice 3D platformer one that the game was bad, but the soundtrack was really nice. Where everything was a cappella.
Oh, nice, yeah. And of course, I'd also while I remember, it'd be remiss to kind of mention that obviously the art style is very different as well. It's a lot kind of, in a way, I would say it's less smooth, kind of in how it moves. In the way like Crash's run cycle is a bit more kind of juddery, but that kind of makes it a bit more stylized. I think that's kind of what they were going for instead of kind of just not a smooth Bandicoot, but more of an edgy Bandicoot. I don't know. It's very hard to describe.
This Bandicoot's got some crags on him. He's a craggly Bandicoot.
Exactly, yeah. So
that's my original character, Craggly Bandicoot.
Yeah, Craggly Bandicoot.
Pretty enticing though, because like I always associate Crash with one of those games from my childhood where it was just so impossibly hard. Like everyone just knew Crash Bandicoot was like a super, super difficult game. And like obviously when you start talking about all the stuff they've added in, like it makes you wonder whether they've added that in for ease. But then if you're saying there still is quite a big sort of difficulty thing about it, that's still kind of good, because the thing I hate about a lot of games, especially older franchises that are getting sort of new additions in sort of this generation,
thinly veiled shots at Pokemon coming up.
Yeah, looking at you, Game Freak. Like they are so hold you handy and and super easy to try and get a younger audience in, and to make it easy on purpose, and that puts me off a lot of these games. But it sounds like it.
Definitely none of that, I would say. That's not a concern. It's I think they value the core kind of Crash nostalgic audience more than anything, I would say, and they've just added in all this nice stuff to kind of keep us happy, as it were.
I love that because I think a lot of, again, looking at you, Game Freak, like they just they care nothing for their actual nostalgic audience and what they actually want. They just care about the new set of kids to get on the bandwagon. So
absolutely,
I like that it sounds like they're aiming this more towards like a very good like Venmo diagram of the in-between of new fans and long-standing fans.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a thorough recommendation from me. I dare say it'll probably be, whenever we do Game of the Year level stuff, it'll be up there. It'll probably, so far at the very least, it'll be kind of top 3, top 5 right now, I would say.
That's actually. But
then again, I'm a massive mark for Crash Bandicoot, so
yeah. But even still, I think you being a massive mark for Crash Bandicoot, if this game sucked, I think you'd be the first one to come out and say fucking shit.
I would at least go on this podcast and been like, well, I kind of still like it because it's Crash, but yeah, but no,
something's not right.
Even now, I'm like, I would thoroughly recommend this to anyone who says they like platformers. I mean, my only concern is with someone like you, Joel, is that obviously you said you've got these kind of reservations about it with how it's very kind of one-hit deathy and things like that. That still does exist. It's still a pretty prevalent part of the game. So there is some frustration because, I mean, one of the gems in the levels, for instance, for every single level, you get a gem if you beat the level in 3 lives or less. And there have been times where I've died for the stupidest reasons, where like I've waited for an enemy to charge at me. He's turned around, and evidently I'm supposed to attack him when his back's turned. But I didn't press the attack button quick enough, so I just ran into his butt and died. And I'm like, that is literally ridiculous. That's one of my deaths. Yeah. So I just had to restart the level all over because I'm like, I've just wasted a life pretty much. So there is still some of that in there that can be frustrating, but so I wouldn't say they've strictly fully addressed those concerns that you'd have, but maybe they've still added in enough for you to.
If you don't rage,
well, that's true.
I feel like
even
that's
when
a
I was playing
fundamental part.
even when I was playing the Insane Trilogy through a couple of years ago, and I played it earlier this year as well on my Switch. Yeah, there was a lot of that. So still, even now,
I've yet to
20 odd years later.
The Insane Trilogy on my Switch. I got it and I was so hyped, and then I started playing and I was like, oh my god, I forgot how much I hate this game.
I finished the 3 of them. I wouldn't even dare try and 100% them.
Oh god, no, that's just
for my own sanity. I would not do
How
that.
is that Switch port?
Good. I actually I think I was pretty impressed with it. I was expecting it to be janky, but it plays really nice.
Yeah, I was a bit reserved because I'm always reserved when it comes to Switch ports because I'm always like, how well is it going to run though? And there are some Switch ports I've played, like the Skyrim one, where I was like, I just don't think it controls that well on the Joy-Cons. But yeah, I managed to play through all 3 of the games without much kind of hassle on the control side. So yeah, no, fine.
Okay.
As a port anyway, I'd recommend that. Yeah.
Lauren.
Hi.
Putting you on the spot.
Okay, I'm just gonna come out here. We're all talking about great games. I'm just gonna be basic bitch. It's October. It's spoopy time.
Ooh.
I've had my first pumpkin spice latte of the season, and the fall update for Animal Crossing has dropped.
Oh man.
It came out on the 30th of September, but the actual new features went live from the 1st of October.
Yeah.
And as far as the tiny sort of not that exciting updates go for Animal Crossing, this is by far my favourite one, and it's probably the only one that's actually really excited me. The others have been nice, and I've enjoyed what they brought, but this one, I am hella excited about my pumpkins.
Now you can do menial work tasks, but
I've
with
been-
pumpkins.
I've been watching Hannah play it, and yeah, she's very excited about her pumpkins as well. Yeah,
So
there's a lot of kind of cosmetics added in, isn't there, as well?
Yeah.
And, you can change your skin color.
Yeah, but still no actual like real people skin color variations. I think that was a big complaint. They added in like blue and green skin, but there's still not a great option for other people like dark skin. There's not that many options. There's not many good like hair options for other people with different hair textures. I think that was a complaint. But
I saw a lot of that on Twitter. Yeah,
I think obviously from the beginning of the game, people were like, we need more sort of hair textures and skin color options for, other people. And then, 6 months down the line, don't worry, you can be blue now.
Way representation.
Yeah, but like I'm super happy. Like, so what they've added in is you can buy a piece of candy once a day from Nook's Cranny. Obviously, this is the candy that can then be used on Halloween. Then you can buy pumpkins from Leaf, or you can buy them all throughout October from Nook's Cranny. They're actually cheaper from Leaf, which I did not realise until I'd already bought like 30 pumpkins from Nook's Cranny. But still.
I'm going to guess pumpkins are just cosmetic fences.
Yeah, I was going to say, what do you do with them?
So, I'm glad you asked. You can have... Ollie looks so done. So there's 4 different colour pumpkins. There's orange, yellow, and green and white. And the rarity is in that order. So when you buy the pumpkin seeds, they you don't know what colour they are until they grow. And you can actually plant a full-grown pumpkin to grow more pumpkins of that colour. And depending on how many days in a row you water your pumpkins, actually depends on how many you yield when you actually harvest them on day 4, because it takes a good 3 days to grow your pumpkins. So throughout October and the spooky season, you can actually get spooky DIYs from your villagers. So like when you go into their house and they're crafting and they give you a DIY recipe, it's likely to be one of the spooky ones. I think there's 14 of the Halloween recipes to collect, and you craft them with the orange pumpkins, and this is where there's like a slightly different mechanic to usual. There's all different color options, but instead of using customization kits like you would usually, you actually use the other 3 pumpkin colors to change your original origins. So like one of the coolest recipes, which is only available on Halloween, is the big pumpkin carriage like in Cinderella.
Oh wow.
So you get that from Jack, which is the NPC, the little pumpkin fella.
The spoopy boy.
Yeah, spoopy boy, really cute. I'm glad they brought him back. He basically, on Halloween, you go around and you give candy to your villagers, and in return they give you DIY, so you can get them this way as well on Halloween instead of just going to their house throughout October. And then they give you either a DIY or a lollipop, and then when you give 3 lollipops to Jack, he will give you a DIY recipe, and there's 2 that he can give you that you can't obtain any other way, which is the pumpkin wand and the carriage DIY, which is what I really, really want.
Oh boy.
And yeah,
oh boy,
it definitely sounds like Animal Crossing. Yeah.
Well, no, because like now it sounds like new Animal Crossing, this new wave of Animal Crossing.
Well, yeah, the Animal Crossing that I know, which was New Horizons, and specifically like the Easter event and stuff. And
yeah,
we don't talk about the Easter event.
Eggs.
Oh my god, Bunny Day, haunt me forever.
I think that was the week where I put Animal Crossing down. I finished Bunny Day and I played for another week, and then that was it, because it was just like there is something about New Horizons that I really, really like, which is all the Animal Crossing bits. But boy, does that sound like busy work throughout the entirety of October.
Yeah, I finished playing Animal Crossing. Oh gosh, it was when I completed the game. Yeah, when I actually I acquired all of my sheep. Utopia became complete.
I got my own copy of this game. This was one of the few things we didn't buy between us because we thought we were both going to be playing it. I think I put about 10 hours into mine.
I was going to say, I don't think I ever saw you playing it when you were online.
And the busy work became too much for me, to the point where I say currently you've not done your job in a while, but I assigned Lauren the task of just getting me to the end of the game, because I kind of figured that once I had everything unlocked and I had the whole island to play with, I might actually have kind of a vision and be able to build something from there, but I couldn't get through the initial busy work.
I think this is the problem I had, was I never really finished my island and got it looking as perfect as I wanted to, because I didn't know the scope of what I could have. So I never wanted to like formally put something in place and be like, yes, this is here, because there could always be something cooler.
Yeah, that was my exact problem.
I was like, I don't know what to do because there's so many options that I don't know about. So I just never really finished it. I don't want to
build something until I know I'm at the final space that I'm going to have.
But I've never seen anybody react to such a relaxing game like Ollie. Like, it's supposed to be such like a cute, wholesome, really relaxing
opposite
game.
Of relaxing.
He would pick it up for 5 minutes and just get so visibly unhappy and stressed that he would just put it down again. So
it is virtual housework. Housework makes me stressed.
I get that.
You don't have to just like, I've changed a lot of my areas. I've moved my house a lot. I've moved my villagers' houses a lot. Like, I really enjoy having like ongoing projects and stuff. Like, I've been playing it pretty much every day since release still, and I'm still not finished with my island because like, I don't know, like, it is busy work in a way, but it's not.
In a way, it is.
But
so I would get to a nice little point where I'd like, I've just planted a whole orchard and I've got a nice pattern of different fruits together, and then I'm there trying to harvest my fruit, and then my fucking, I don't know, my shovel breaks and I'm just there just... Why
are you harvesting fruit with your shovel?
Whatever you use to do whatever shit you do in that game. All my stuff would break and I'm like, I'm halfway across the map, I have to switch to my pole just to get across the river because I can't afford a bridge.
It's the struggle. It really is.
I can't go back. I can't do it. I got quite attached to my like 3 villagers.
Yeah, he's not even got a full island of 10 yet.
And in a way, I miss them, but
I mean, in a way, I kind of don't want to go back to it because I have been off it for so long, and I know that when you do take a bit of a break from it and you go back, they guilt trip you.
Oh, they really do.
All of my sheep, they'll be like, Jacob, where the hell were you? It's been months.
It's just like, I can't believe you left without saying goodbye.
I'm sorry, Wendy.
We came into your house and you've just been sleeping. What have you?
There's so
been
many
in a
roaches.
coma, pretty much. Yeah.
I still remember when the brief amount of time that I was playing this, and Joel actually visited me and Lauren visited Joel's island, and for a good like half an hour after Lauren had left, Joel presumed he was still playing the game solo, and I was just asleep at his house. He just eventually returned home to find me still lying there. I just put my Switch down and just left myself in his bed.
Please check the link to this podcast. We will include a photo of when Joel discovered Ollie asleep in his bed.
I do still have the screenshot saved on my Switch.
You'll have to send those over.
Yeah. Oh, so funny.
Amazing.
I really enjoy the way my little island is progressing. So if anyone cares, I will show you how it's coming along because I'm very attached.
And it is nice that they have these kind of free updates every now and then to slowly add stuff in. A lot of people say that it's stuff that they could have added from the start, but I guess it keeps people playing for a bit longer, gives you something to look forward to.
Yeah, I see why they do it, although I think people's argument is we're still missing a lot of key features that were included in like New Leaf and Wild World, like Brewster's Coffee, for example. I think everyone is still expecting that to drop. So, yeah.
Maybe for Christmas.
We'll see, but I'm happy with
that game gets data mined at least once a day by somebody checking Nintendo servers. Lauren, have you been playing anything else?
I have not actually. So, besides, dipping back into Sims because I finally went, because I usually play quite a lot of Sims, but I had a couple of months break and I am ignoring the Journey to Batu. I'm not even going to buy that because it just, no. But
that's the Star Wars stuff.
I absolutely want you to get that.
No, I don't want it. I don't want it in my game. I actually just got Nifty Knitting and I really, really love it. So that's what I've been doing. I've just been knitting on The Sims because I can't knit in real life because my dog will steal the yarn.
True.
Oliver.
Yeah. There's a loud car revving its engine outside our house. I don't know if you can hear that.
No, we're good. you can just keep going. Talk to me about the video games you've been putting in your face.
Jumping from Jacob and his very current release and Lauren and her updated game. I've been playing a 5-year-old game. I mentioned a few weeks ago, I think I was drawing up my PS4 bucket list of games that I just needed to finish by the end of this generation.
I think a lot of us have been doing that in lockdown.
Yeah. So I've been trying to prepare for sequels by finishing off Horizon Zero Dawn.
You're trying again.
I'm trying again because
we've had this conversation at least 5 times over the last
rants
6
about this
months.
Game. This game that I'm torn between really, really liking and just despising. There's a very good game in there. Every time I go back to it, I get hit with this kind of fresh, probably not old enough to be nostalgia, but just a reminder of just wandering around this map and thinking, this is such a pretty game. This has got some really fun combat. I just like relaxing and exploring and riding my robot cow or whatever the hell it is. And then so what I did when I picked it up, I thought I'd get some of the, I suppose, busy work again out the way. I'll get some of these collectibles because I'd been pretty much maxing out this game. There's so much to do, but I looked at that platinum trophy and thought that's pretty achievable. There's no like top difficulty trophies or anything like that. So I've been finding all the metal flowers and all that stuff's nice. You just get to see. It's a very diverse map. You've got your desert region, you've got your snowy areas. It's all very pretty. It's nice to just explore. And then I was doing the cauldrons, which are like pretty much like the game's dungeons.
Right. Okay. They're off to the side.
Yeah.
Diablo Rifts.
I think there's 5 or 6 of them in total. Each one of them is just, there's a bit of platforming in there. There's a bit of just general. Just general exploration of these big kind of they're like relics of the old world, which is the current world.
Yeah, sorry, I actually started playing this during lockdown. I only played it for a few hours and then put it down. There's like one of those at the very start, isn't there?
Yeah. So at the end of each one, there will be a boss, which will just be basically a high-level machine that you might not have encountered yet. And each one that you beat, you then like hack the cauldron or whatever it is, and gain the ability to control that type of machine. So they're usually pretty fun because the machine combat is probably the highlight of that game. It's every single enemy almost feels like this little mini boss fight. Some of them, they've each got their own weakness. You can't just go in there and just spam them with arrows.
Yeah.
You've got to kind of figure out your play style for each one. I like using the rope caster where you can tie them down.
Oh, cool, yeah.
That's really fun to use, especially on the big boys like your Thunderjaw, which is the giant T-Rex guy. You can kind of tie him down, shoot off his weapons, and then use his weapons against him. So I went for the last cauldron that I had left to do, and this cauldron is right in the like far corner of the map, which is probably why it was just out the way. I'd not got to it yet. And this one has a different little twist on it, where I believe it's the Shadow Carja, which is like the rogue tribe of nasty people that are trying to control the machines. They are excavating this cauldron, and all of the machines in there are already dead, and you're just fighting waves and waves of human enemies, which is just the worst part of that game. It's got that Uncharted problem that I remember Joel years ago having a proper rant about, of firing arrows directly into these guys' heads and watching them just lose a quarter of their health bar.
Arrow sponges.
Yeah, it's the problem I was having with like Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah,
where like the stealth kills only, if you're not a high enough level or your weapon's not a high enough level, like the stealth kills will only take like half their health off.
Yeah,
it's just like
it's exactly the same with this. You can do the stealth melee kills where you basically
this is the problem with like the RPGification of these types of games, where it's slowing down what could be great combat encounters. It's so like Death Stranding runs on the same engine as Horizon.
I remember you saying the Tormex make an appearance.
Yes, they do. Only as holograms, but the human combat in that, with all the stuff removed of like the RPG stuff of like levels and stuff, and obviously you're using bolo ties and stuff like that.
Just triggered at the word bolo.
Bolo.
Oh, I've got battlegrounds for you later on.
But like you can see where that engine could go if they just removed like the levels from the enemies. And
so like one of the things you can get in Horizon is like the death from above stealth kill, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's just like a drop attack, and pretty much the animation for that is you'll dive onto their shoulders and ram a spear through their throat. But if this is a high level enemy, they just you pull that spear out their throat and they just get back up and start swinging at you.
Shit.
And it's when you're fighting these machines, I can deal with this leveling system because like you can make up a canon excuse why this robot dinosaur
it's also like it's also like why for like in Death Stranding, where the enemies do have health bars, I think, but it's like, oh, you're using rubber bullets on them because you don't want them to die, so obviously like the health's going to only be chipped down because they're just walking through it. But yeah, no, when it's big fat robots and stuff like that, this robot deer thing's gonna have health on it because it's made of machine and it doesn't operate like a human being. It makes logical sense, but when it's like a human versus a human, like you said with the Uncharted games, where you gun them down for ages, and it's even in The Last of Us and The Last of Us 2. Where you're shooting them and it's just like, I shot you, you should be on the ground and dead.
And Horizon is a game that is so full of those just modern open world tropes. It's got the signal
it was
power,
late
But with
2010s video game
Yeah.
bullshit.
Yeah, it was such a weird thing to see because at the same time, like the week after Horizon came out was Breath of the Wild,
Whoa.
yeah,
which is like the other end of,
Mm.
and it actually relates to what we'll be talking about in
Yeah.
a second. But
yeah,
yeah, so
and the thing with, like I've said before, the signal towers I actually think are done quite well in that game. Just the little change that they're actually kind of alive, and you actually need to kind of find a point to jump onto them while they're patrolling their route. It makes it kind of fun, but so much of that game has just been done to death. And maybe part of the problem is that I'm playing it in 2020.
Possibly.
I have been
also,
chipping away at it for the past year, but
also, since I'd say since you moved into your current living situation, you've been doing nothing but playing these open world games. From my perspective, like you've done the Spider-Man,
pretty
you've
much.
done Horizon, you've done The Witcher at least 3 times.
I
Like
had a go at Red Dead 2.
Oh, really?
you had a go at Red Dead 2. You've done Assassin's Creed.
He started
Like
Red Dead 2 like 5 times.
that's not a game you can start
Well,
5
we've
times
been
because
over
that
this.
beginning area is so boring.
I abandoned my PS4 save because I got the PC version free with my graphics card. So I thought I'd give it another go, and then it just sat there eating up 100+ gig on my hard drive without getting played, and it's finally been deleted.
Yeah, no, speaking of like Breath of the Wild and open world games, I've been playing Genshin Impact.
I'm very curious
Oh,
about
yeah.
this.
So it launched on PS4, PC, Android, and iOS.
Oh boy.
So how do I describe it?
Anime as fuck.
Anime as fuck,
Right
but
up Jacob's
also
alley.
right up Jacob's alley, but also right up Joel's alley because it's a secret gacha game.
Oh no.
With okay, so Genshin Impact is from MiHoYo, which they have like a string of mobile games, mobile gacha games. Honkai Impact,
Oh, right. Yeah.
which is a legitimate game name, Honkai
Honkai,
Impact. It's not about geese.
If only.
But yeah, no. So this is like their first like major big game. You know, we're going all out. It's the PC version was royally fucked for downloading during the first 48 hours. Because what people had figured out is that they hadn't set up a server or a download point for the Western audience. So we were all trying to connect to this one server in Singapore.
Oh dear.
Because it's a Chinese company, so they're using Singaporean servers to get the game to the West. But so that was downloading at like 0.3 megabits a second. So I set that on pause until last night, and I thought I'll give it another go, see what it's, and it's downloading fine now. So it's good to go. It's good to go. The mobile game, I would recommend having a fairly modern phone. I have a P20 Pro, and my phone is struggling. It's the first game where I've actually noticed my phone beginning to struggle under the weight of it.
P20 is not really slouch, is it?
No, it's a 2018 phone.
Yeah.
I guess if you're on iOS, it's a much better. I would suspect like the 10s and 11s and the current SE would do fine.
I might actually have to have a look.
I guess it would be better also on like a tablet of some description, because boy, there is a lot of information on that screen. So the game actually plays like not like so. It's partially like Breath of the Wild, as in stamina meter, collecting items from the ground. Combat is like encourages experimentation. shields you can set on fire, make things wet and then electrocute them.
Cool.
There is totally the glider, like straight up.
Oh, really?
Like not, but it's wings. It's not actually
its own
like
version. Yeah,
it's its own version, but it's straight up the same thing. And then the combat is like your typical anime combat game,
real time sort of.
Real time. So it like from the outside it looks like an MMO. It's totally not an MMO. It's totally like a very like there's co-op mode in it, but you won't see other players in cities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It is very much a it's very much a solo Breath of the Wild sort of feel. So like big empty fields, but with some enemies and treasure chests dotted around. Combat's fine. It's kind of, you're pressing X, and then
throwing out commands and actions and stuff to you and your party.
So there's a party system in it, which ties in with the gacha side of stuff.
Oh, is it like getting party members, different ones?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's something that I feel like I could get sucked into.
Yeah. So the weirdest thing is it gives you a character basically off the bat, which is just I think everyone ends up with like the same.
I saw some like blonde twins.
Yeah, so the main character is this blonde twin who's been captured and trapped on wherever this is because she could travel through worlds with her brother. To different universes and different dimensions and whatever, and then a god has stopped them from doing that for whatever reason not explained.
Right.
It's just anime villain doing anime villain things
to take over the world.
Probably, maybe, probably to harness the power of the other twin, for evil gains, and then that leads into like straight into the game, trying to find the brother. Recruiting the help of the knights of this city. There's a dragon that's causing havoc, and help us. The gods have left us. We need to go into these various challenge temples and activate these devices or hit these stones to unlock the power that's been trapped.
Video game things.
So yeah, like the party system is totally tied in with the gacha stuff, but so they gave me a character. So they gave everyone starts out with the blonde, one of the twins,
blonde guy or blonde gal.
Yeah, so I have Billy Bob, the blonde girl, because it was like choose a name, and I was just like, is this my username or I have Billy Bob? And now it's just like, no, this is Billy Bob. Hi, my name's
Bob of Ledred.
All in lowercase. But so, and then it's like, here's a character, everything's voice acted, everything's English voice acting. No option to change it to Chinese from what I can tell, which is a shame because holy shit, the companion character that joins you, like the comic relief high pitched pixie voice thing, talks in the third person.
Oh
no. Oh.
Hi, I'm Paimon.
Oh, it's like the knock-on from Xenoblade.
Yep.
Oh.
But consistently ingrating, terrible voice acting. I hate it with a passion. But it's fine. It's it only talks in the cutscenes, which are at the start, like the few hours that I've played have been very frequent. So it's consistent. But outside of that, so like they gave me this character, and then it says, "Oh, go," and she's in my party, and then it says, "Oh, go meet up with said character." I can't remember her name. I think it's Amber. So it says so I've got Amber in my party, and then it says, "Go meet up with Amber." So I'm playing as Amber because she shoots fire arrows, and I'm like, "Oh, this is cool. This is more interesting." Yeah, this is more interesting, like generic sword combat. And like. You get to the cutscene and it's like, there's two Ambers here, and the game just is not acknowledging like the fact that Amber is already in my party.
Yeah, they didn't plan ahead for that.
No, it's a bit weird. Like whenever like a major story thing happens, they'll always like change out the character for the main character and stuff like that. But like it's even stranger is like the main character talks at the start of the game, like in the intro cutscenes, is talking just fine, and then is completely silent, like Link, for the rest of the game.
Insert character.
Yeah, with like the choice options, and it's not even voiced. Like, how do you want to respond? It's not even voiced.
I have a question. Sorry to interrupt you there. Is this game entirely free to play?
It is,
because obviously it's free to download on the phones, but I didn't know if it was the same case on computers.
On PC.
Or
yes,
PS4.
and PS4.
Interesting.
And there is an exclusive prize if you there's an exclusive set of wings if you log in on PS4.
Oh man.
So
I get set of wings.
Jacob twitching.
So I'm now getting FOMO. So now I want to fucking.
Oh jeez.
And because I was pre-registered, I got a bunch of shit.
I'm sorry, Crash. You don't offer me wings.
Yeah, I got a special set of wings for pre-registering.
I mean, Lauren, you've been constantly saying you're looking for some new anime RPG to dump you back into the console market after I keep trying to get you to play Persona.
So, oh no, I said I'd play some Persona 5.
Why don't you play the gacha game?
Because it'll suck me in.
Like all the other gacha games that you play.
Ollie's just outing Lauren right now.
I feel very attacked.
Don't worry, Lauren. I'm also in the same camp. I play a lot. I've played a lot of gacha games and have spent like not Jacob levels of playing Hearthstone.
Now I'm the one being attacked.
Now you're. There is like.
I had a good week of playing Marvel Strike Force.
Oh, don't get me started. I hate those adverts on YouTube. Friggin' Matt Pat coming up and be like, Marvel Strike Force.
I think the worst ones are the live action Arknight ones, where they get like an influencer to talk about Arknight and how it's got a bunch of sexy anime ladies in it.
Let's play Raid Shadow Legends.
Oh my god! Or the Clash of Clans or those types of games ones where my favorite ones are the very clearly out of either Korea or China ones where it's like, a beautiful princess, whatever will you do? Like evil, good, and then it's like
a concubine.
Oh,
twins. Yeah,
they're better than the choose your own story one. I'm pregnant and I'm
should I be a lesbian now?
Oh no.
Yeah, speaking of cheeky adverts, could we possibly take an ad break for which Ollie and I don't return because his mum's just walked through the door?
That's fair.
Yes, go for it.
I'm on my way down the stairs, so it'll probably take me about 10 minutes to get there.
Okay, I'm going to stop this recording and then we'll come back with a little bit more about whatever is on the table.
Yeah, all right. Sorry,
goodbye,
we had to leave.
Yeah, get out of here.
Bye!
Okay, we're back.
Just the two of us.
Just the two of us. Ollie and Lauren had to go because they've got a guest.
Family. Who needs those?
Who needs them?
We got video games.
Video games, including... tell me more about these Battlegrounds.
Okay. I'm sad that Ollie can't be here for this, but yeah, Battlegrounds. So we were initially going to record the podcast yesterday. For which I hadn't touched Battlegrounds because I was too busy playing things like Hades and also what the hell else was I playing? Danganronpa, that was it.
Oh, right, okay.
Very quick Danganronpa update actually before I do go ahead.
Yeah, tell me.
So the story is picking up. It's very, very good so far. The trials themselves for when a student has been killed, they take some real twists and turns. The people that we're accusing changes about 3 or 4 times per trial. And it's like, oh shit, wait, it can't be this person. It must be this person then. Wait, no. And then, so it goes back and forth. There's some crazy twists and turns in there. And basically, my verdict is everyone I like is fucking dead.
Oh, okay.
um,
Okay.
basically, yeah, my favorite 3 characters all died by the end of chapter 2.
Oh.
Like, oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, spoilery warning, I suppose. But so I had like 2 joint favorite characters at the very start of the game. One of them ended up being the first murder at the end of chapter 1, so he ended up getting killed because we found him out. And then in chapter 2, yeah, my favorite girl character, the programmer, she got killed by my other favorite guy. So
Oh.
clearly my peeps can't get along.
Oh, Jacob,
ended up getting
maybe you should just start like favoring your least favorite characters and just see what
well,
happens.
genuinely, yeah. I was like, well, I mean, I don't know who I want to choose as my next favorite because I mean, they're probably going to go. But that being said, I'm still really, really enjoying it. We're actually quite close to the end now, and then we'll move on to the second one. But yeah, that's been super good. Just wanted to let you know, progress. Everyone's dead. Everyone I love is dead.
Just before we move into Battlegrounds,
Yes.
let me just talk a little bit more about this Genshin Impact thing
Oh, yeah.
because like the combat is like lifted straight out of Breath of the Wild. Like all that stuff, all that experimental stuff of
Yes.
like setting things on fire. You know, like it is like. I don't know if you saw the video going around of the guy at China Joy, which is the big games convention, bringing his PlayStation and smashing it on the floor in protest because, because Sony decided that they were going to put this game out on PlayStation, and it is totally a rip-off of Breath of the Wild. How dare you do this to Nintendo?
So this Breath of the Wild fan brought his PS4 to a convention and then smashed it in protest.
Yes.
Wow.
And was taken away by security.
I'm sure Sony really, really cared.
Exactly. Like, and you know, the party thing is, you know, you get 4 characters that you can swap between on the fly with a small cooldown. Each one's got their own like elemental powers and. You know, it's interesting. It seems like one of those gacha games where, you know, at some point you may just drop the main character, which I mostly do in these types of games. Where,
poor
but
Billy
you
Bob.
know, poor Billy Bob. But at the same time, I'm actually like not too fussed about like usually with these games I'm like skipping the story. I don't care. I just want the mechanics. I just want the numbers. I just want this, and this.
Make me see the big numbers.
Yes, or make me do the crafting and the fusing and stuff like that. I don't care about the story. Like Grand Blue Fantasy, I put money and time into that game. Like I spent at least a solid like 2 months every day playing that game. And I can't tell you anything that happened in the story. It's the same with like Final Fantasy 14. I can barely tell you what happened in the story, and it pisses people off.
I guess that says something about Genshin Impact, though, that either it's a good story that you're willing to sit through it, or it just kind of implements it better.
I think it's mostly because it's like actually voice acted.
That goes a long way with me in games as well. Yeah.
Yeah, like you know, obviously I'm pressing like skip to, you know, I've already read the subtitles. Just get on with it. And you know, whenever Paimon comes on the screen, I'm always just like, fuck off, no, please, no. But yeah, the combat is good enough where I'm like, that carries me along through, you know, and there's enough variety in the quests. Some of, you know, it's definitely done the MMO style you know, early RPG quest of go talk to this person, this person, and then go back. And then go back and there's a mystery afoot, and it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake, just get on with it.
Yes, again.
Yeah,
I'm definitely going to try it because I didn't realize it was free to play even on consoles as well.
Yeah, and you know, for you know, people always like badmouth these gacha games and stuff, but there's a lot. This one has a lot of effort in it. You know, like there was a objective to get to the top of this windmill, and obviously, like the windmill is designed with a gap so that you climb up. You know, but I didn't have enough stamina to get up the thing, and I was just like, fuck it, I'll climb up the side of this building, glide over, and then climb up the rest of the way.
It's that Breath of the Wild thinking.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it's a lot simpler than Breath of the Wild. Like, you know, Breath of the Wild, but I've got a character with a heavy sword that it does the pretty much the same spin as when Link's got a heavy sword in Breath of the Wild. There's no like counters and stuff, but there is certainly an anime boy whose who's got ice powers, and his anime rival has fire powers.
Edgy rival
from another faction of knights. So yeah,
cool.
I will go back to it.
Also, actually looks quite nice for a free-to-play game as well. It's a kind of pretty looking game,
especially on PC in 4K.
Oh, I can imagine. Yeah,
looks exquisite.
Delightful.
So tell me about the battlegrounds though, before I tell you about other stuff.
Yeah. So yes, battlegrounds. As I said, yeah, we were going to be recording this yesterday, but no, I didn't get around to playing Battlegrounds, so I hurriedly played about half an hour, so I could be like, oh shit, my weekly Battleground segment. I need to tell people what's going on in the story.
We're the only people still playing this game.
Yeah, give me money, 2K. But half an hour was all I needed, because Jesus Christ. This story is pretty damn wacky. So as I'm sure you can remember, last time we left you, I'd relinquished control of New York cyclist Bolo Reynolds. And I had picked up the control of Floridian alligator wrestler Billy Huggins. So I did a few matches with Billy Huggins, which included fighting such luminaries as Eric Rowan, who was dropped off into the swamp by two other Eric Rowan-looking men, as well as also Brock Lesnar, who ended up just kind of surfacing out of the water.
What?
He just like Terminator walked out of the water. You fight and beat him, and then he Terminator walks back into the water again. So that's Brock Lesnar, I guess. He just hangs around in the bayou or whatever in Florida.
Also for reference, Eric Rowan is no longer with WWE.
He's not. There are several people in that game who are
no longer with
the
WWE.
The game came out. Even before the game came out, Mauro Ranallo, who's one of the commentators on the game, he'd already left by the time the game had come out.
Yep.
As well as guys like Gallows and Anderson. They're not there anymore.
Oh shit, they're not there anymore.
They're in that game. There was others. But
this entire game just seems like perfect for their Southpaw regional wrestling thing.
Oh, it would be great. They should totally do some Southpaw DLC for this.
And I guess now that like 3/4 of the creative force behind that thing is no longer there. I mean, Chris Jericho has just applied for a trademark for,
didn't he?
For Cliff Bobski.
Clint Bobski, yeah, that was it.
Clint Bobski. But no, so what is the adventures of Billy Huggins?
Billy Huggins, yeah, he's been fighting and working his way up the ranks in Florida, to the point where Steve Austin, who is the guy who's basically organizing this whole battleground stuff along with Paul Heyman, Steve Austin comes and he's like, you know what, you've done a great job. We're going to be putting you on WrestleMania in X amount of time. To the point where Billy Huggins gets really, really happy and he hugs Steve Austin, but he hugs him so hard he hurts Steve Austin's back. Kind of off to the side of this, Huggins ends up going to tell his master, Jake Roberts, in a shack.
Wait, you mean AEW's Jake Roberts?
Jake the Snake Roberts. He goes to his shack and tells Jake, I'm going to WrestleMania. And Jake ends up trying to spell congrats on the wall with snakes, but doesn't have enough snakes. So that's Billy Huggins pretty much sorted. He's going to WrestleMania. But there's more.
I don't believe you.
No, this all genuinely happened. This, like I say, this happened in like the space of half an hour, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I was expecting to have to play this for like 2 hours to get a good story update, but no, half an hour's enough. So Billy Huggins, he's going to WrestleMania. He's made it, which leads Steve Austin to then be like, "My back's fucked, so I need to go to a place to get my back fixed." He speaks to Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman was like, hey, Austin, do you remember that time I got speared by Edge? in 2002 at Rebellion. And Austin was like, oh yeah. Paul Heyman was like, well, there's this guy in Mexico who I went to go see about it, and he fixed me right up. So maybe you should go there.
Okay, question. Is this voice acted?
No, not at all. It's all in, it's like comic strip panels, basically.
Because I cannot, in my wildest dreams, imagine A, Steve Austin voicing this, or B, Paul Heyman voicing this.
God damn, son, you hugged me so hard, my back's broke. But yeah, so Steve Austin travels to Mexico to go meet this healer that Paul Heyman went to see in 2002, who seems to be some kind of voodoo spiritual healer called TJ the Cure Salazar, who, as it turns out, he's also a bit of a badass. So he starts training with Austin to be part of this Battlegrounds League or whatever, to the point where they're training in the ring outside of this like bar, kind of, and they both sense, quote unquote, some bad juju. To which I can't believe I'm going to say this. To which Daniel Bryan then comes out of the toilet of this bar and is like, "No one told me not to drink the water here in Mexico." So the bad juju is Daniel Bryan just having the shits. So he's like, "Yeah, I had the shits, but you know what? I'm going to fight this new guy, Austin. It's not going to deter me." So I ended up fighting Daniel Bryan in Mexico, which I then lost because he employed the services during the match. This is a gameplay mechanic in the Mexico arena. He leapt into the crowd, picked up a remote control, which then remote controlled a lucha goat, which then rammed into me several times, did loads of damage, and I lost. So yes, a remote control luchador goat is what he used to beat me.
I'm wondering if anyone like at 2K actually, or WWE for that matter, actually oversaw what was going on in this game.
What the hell are they doing? So yes, I lost to Daniel Bryan. That was my first loss in the career mode, and that's where I promptly decided to stop because I was like, you know what? I think the remote control luchador goat is that's enough for me.
Well, Jacob,
so it was a bit of an odyssey over half an hour.
I was listening to another podcast talk about this game, and I think it's on PC as well.
Yeah, probably.
I want to check that now, actually. But the thing that they brought up was wondering if the PC version just has like the comic book files on.
Oh, maybe. Like somewhere in there, yeah.
Somewhere in the directory, so that you could just strip those out, because that seems like the bit that everyone wants.
They're kind of charming in their own way. These weird kind of super off the wall comic strips. Yeah, like I say, Steve Austin or like Jake Roberts and Billy Huggins just in Jake's shack. And he's like, "Oh, I wanted to spell congrats for you, but I didn't have enough snakes."
Like, Also, it just sounds like a nightmare, like, post-release of, like, this person's not with the company, this person's not with the company.
Yeah.
Like, 3 of these people are now with AEW.
Do you think, do you think Lance Archer ends up getting congratulations messages from Jake Roberts?
He gets little grass snakes.
Yeah.
But you know, like when a kid brings home a picture and it's got like excess glue and
like
like my Pritt stick went dry, so I just
pictures.
Yeah,
but with snakes. You're trying to spell out everybody dies or something like
that. Jake the Snake only uses macaroni and cooked spaghetti because they look the most like snakes.
So I will keep going. I want to know what's going to keep going.
I need to know what needs to happen, but I need to know vicariously through you. Yes. So I'm employing you to do this.
This is my job. This is my calling.
Yes. I have speaking of like free to play stuff.
I was gonna say, what kind of segue are you gonna try and make from this?
Got no segue.
Do you mean this other game doesn't have a Robo Lucha Goat?
No, it's
Oh.
got loot. It's got loot.
Loo.
Loot.
Oh, loot. There you
Loot.
go.
I forgot what I was saying halfway through because I was just imagining the Lucha Goat, and now I can't get over the Lucha Goat. It's just derailed all my thoughts. No, since lockdown, I got very into Path of Exile.
Right.
Top down, an ARPG, action RPG,
Yes.
the spiritual successor to Diablo 2, as deemed by the fans. Lots of loot. It's their new. So every 3 months they have a new league, which is basically like
Seasons.
new content.
Yeah,
and there's new content in it.
Yeah.
So this time it is Heist, which is all heist based. So you are going into prefab dungeons,
steal what you
loot,
can.
with an objective to reach the end. If you die, you lose everything. There's no stealth, but there's an alert meter, which basically there's like certain treasure chests that will boost the alert meter, and you don't want to do that before and if you set off the alarm, you can't get the main loot at the end.
Interesting.
The game is exactly like they've added tons of new stuff, like tons of new gems, and God, I couldn't even make it through the patch notes because it's just too much stuff.
Jargon.
You're trying to get into the community and seeing what's being said, and it's just like, oh my God, there's too much to keep track of. I'm just going to focus on me. I don't need I'm the only stuff that I actually do with these games is like I follow a build guide.
Yeah.
Because you can definitely wind up getting towards the middle of like the first part. So the game's split into like multiple acts. So you can get to about Act 6 and realize like your build is shit.
Right.
And have to re-roll.
Is this so? What, because the late game stuff ramps up so much, or
well, the mid game stuff. The mid game stuff is like, so like in the last league, I had a witch that got to level 50 something, reached Act 6, and was just getting trounced, and and I would have to grind out all this currency to get because there's no like buy a respec potion and all your points are reset. It's like no. Respec stuff is a currency.
You got to earn that shit.
You got to trade in for it, or you got to earn it. Like you'll find them dropping out of enemies sometimes, which is the weirdest thing. But so I was just like, I'll just re-roll. It'll be quicker. And got to the same point and was doing fine, and then my PC died and the league ended. So that character now gets shifted to the standard league, so I can continue with that, but I lose out on doing all the heist stuff because you can't just transfer a character between leagues. It's like, no, this character was for this league, and that's it.
You just reminded me of something. Sorry. Speaking of transferring characters over, I did actually have a question. Genshin Impact, is that something that you can transfer from like PS4 to mobile?
So there was no option for me to log in with my mobile account.
So it seems like it might be separate.
So what I think it does is but there was an option to log in with my MiHoYo account that I apparently signed up for when pre-registering. Because I pressed pre-register on the Android App Store and pre-registered through their website, just to double down on it, double dip. But so I think if you've got a MiHoYo account or a social media account, that's
okay. Sorry to derail your Path of Exile discussion, but I literally forgot I had that question.
No, because it's it's similar with I had that. I've been playing. I've got over 100 hours in Path of Exile now, and I had that question of just like, wait, what happens to my character after this league ends? And it's like, oh no, it just gets shifted off to the side because so the last league was farming based, called Harvest. So like planting seeds, and then they
Yeah.
spawn monsters, and you get loot out of them, and then you can
Okay.
use the power that was generated from the kills from the monsters to power these machines that you can then use to craft new mods and upgrade items and stuff. And they've taken all of that out of Heist.
Right.
Like it's not even in the standard league. Usually, like the stuff like holds some
Stays
of the
around
stuff
for a little
holds,
bit.
but they realize like, oh, with Heist giving like legendary items,
You don't need the additional farming stuff.
you don't need the additional farming stuff because oh shit, we're just going to end up with like a metric ton of like too many rares, too
Yeah.
many like legendary and unique items, and like a massive glut of like overpowered stuff.
Yeah, the general kind of power level of the game would have kind of shifted
Yeah, so
upwards,
they're
if
I
everybody
think
had
that.
great stuff.
So I was reading like their blog, and it's like, yeah, we're reworking it so that it's not as, you know, because when it was the focus, it was fine, but if it's combined with everything else, it's just going to be fucked. So we don't want that sort of thing. But the high stuff is fine. You know, I don't mind going through those games over and over again, even though I know what I'm doing with these first few acts.
Yeah,
you know,
I was very much the same way with Diablo back in the day, where it's just kind of like it's just kind of cathartic to blow a bunch of shit up and
you
progress
load
that
it up.
character.
The thing that you know, I miss for, you know, I don't miss from Diablo, but also at the same time I miss is like the like especially those console versions where it was just like clear information, like this is definitely stronger. You will be on the up and up with this.
Yeah, I don't have time for having to, you know,
no, like
deeply look into comparing items and all that.
Path of Exile is like pressing C to bring up your character stats, and then pressing and then unequipping and equipping the two items over and over again to see the changes. And like, do I want more cold resistance and like less health, or do it's like, oh shit, okay.
TBA.
But within the first 5 minutes of like this character being alive and stuff like that, a guy in the starting area who was very clearly end game material, it said, "Hey, trade with me," and I was just like, "Okay." I usually decline all trade because it's usually people asking for dumb shit, or and it was just like, "No, here's a tabula rasa robe and a hat." And they're both unique legendary items. The tabula rasa, like he gave me, is like a 0.1 chance of dropping.
Wow.
And so I was like, oh wow, this is a kindly stranger. And then I looked around, and everybody was just wearing these white, like these white robes, and it's just like, oh, he's been farming these things and has suddenly like cracked the code, or has like a lot, like But the nice thing about it is like, so Path of Exile has like a gem system, so you know you're not unlocking and putting into, so the passive skill tree doesn't give you like, now you have this ability like in Diablo. It's like, no, you can you get gems and they have the abilities in them, and then you link the gems together with support gems, and so like, oh, my burning arrow now has pierce damage, or my chaos arrow now has void manipulation, which does more chaos damage. And that's changing again in Path of Exile 2, which is coming next year. Where that I watched the demo of that and I was just like, fuck,
it's all different. I've just learned this.
I just learned this, and it's like, oh no, wait, that you can put gems within the gems, and now the electric arrow shoots 6 ways and does frost damage at the same time. It's getting crazy. But I mean, you know, it's one of those games
people
where
love that stuff where you can just kind of really, really get into the customization of how your character plays.
Oh yeah, like there's people on Steam with like, I've played this for over 10,000 hours, and I'm still bad at the game. And then and then like the only other thing I played, I bought Watam.
Watam,
from the creator of Katamari and Nobi Nobi Boy.
Oh man, I've not heard of this.
It is so Wattam.
Watam.
You might have seen it. Yeah.
An apple on the cover.
Yeah, it is definitely one of his games.
Yeah, it looks cute.
You are the mayor.
Okay.
Of a lonely rock, and then you make friends. Like everything starts coming back to life. There's a disaster has happened, and now everything is coming back very slowly as you bring joy into the world. I unlocked a toilet.
Nice.
With a face, and then the toilet grabbed. You can then take control of all the different characters and stuff. The toilet then I made the toilet grab the mayor, who was turned into an apple by a tree, and the mayor then got turned into poo.
I literally just been looking at pictures, and I'm like, are those turds?
Yeah, and the music changes when there's turds on within your
engage the turd soundtrack.
Little fart noises will occur.
Oh dear.
It's great. It's great. It's stupid, and but that PC port is runs fine, which is the main thing. But boy, oh boy, getting a controller to work on that thing was it was like the Katamari PC port. So I downloaded that as well because that's been in my Steam library since Christmas, and I was just like, I like Katamari. I played 2 hours of Watam, and I was like, okay, I'll play half an hour to 2 hours of Katamari as well, because why not?
Yeah.
For capture purposes. And that PC port of Katamari doesn't let you get to the options until you finish the tutorial, so you're stuck with the
mouse and keyboard.
Luckily the controller started working, but it was still weird because it was like it's not in full screen, it's in 720p.
Yeah,
certain things are a little bit wrong here. I need to change some of these options, and then also like it doesn't quit back to like the main menu when you say like I want to quit, and then no, it just like fucking closes the game.
Oh, just all together.
It's just like
press start screen or anything.
No, it just says like the prince goes, "See you later," and then it crashes the game basically.
Bye.
Bye. But that's fun to have in 4K because I love all the little models.
Yeah, I mean, the style of the game would lend itself nice to all the bright colors and.
Yeah, it kind of makes me sad that like Nobi Nobi Boy is like lost to time at this point because I don't even know if those servers are still online.
I genuinely forgot about its existence until you mentioned it.
I don't know. I don't even know where they got up to with where they got Girl up to. I think at some point it hit Saturn.
Yeah. As part of me looking at images for this game, I ended up coming across an article from US Gamer, which says fans are comparing Watam with Death Stranding. And I'm like, what?
Okay. No, I can see it. Because both of them have the same positive message of like we need to bring the world back together.
Rebuilding.
There's literally handhold buttons, like 2 buttons are dedicated to your arms, and then you hold hands with the other things, and then you can dance in a circle around plants and they grow.
So if Death Stranding's a bit heavy, but you want to play something like that, go for Watam.
Yeah, and you'll have you'll laugh at it. You'll laugh with it rather than laughing at it.
Yeah, there's poos in it.
There's poos in it, which is hilarious.
It's hilarious for mid-20s men like us.
Exactly. Made by a 40-something-year-old man. Should we talk about like just a couple of these news stories?
Yeah.
I know Ollie wanted to talk about the Spider-Man, but I'm gonna be honest. Like the Spider-Man face change in the upgrade to the PS5 version.
Is that what the uproar is?
That's what the uproar is because he now looks.
Saw the kind of upraised graphics for PS5, and I did see that there was a change. I didn't know people were annoyed about it.
Yeah. So it now looks more like Tom Holland.
Yeah, doesn't bother me.
But also like I bet like so Sony keeps shooting themselves in the foot with this fucking game. Every step of the way, it's like something new about Spider-Man is pissing people off.
Yeah.
So you got like, Miles Morales is not actually just exclusive to the PS5, making it, for some people, which is like, oh, I bought a PS5 for Miles Morales. It's like I could have just waited for my PS4.
Yeah.
It's also coming to PS4. Or, oh, there's no upgrade path for Spider-Man to Spider-Man PS4 to Spider-Man PS5.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It is, you've got to hand over cash, the full price of the game again.
It's weird how some companies are okay doing that whole upgrade thing and some aren't.
So I think this might actually just be a Disney mandate.
Possibly.
I think there is I think Disney and Sony could not come to some agreement about, and this is just the only option that was on the table.
Because there was all that controversy around Control, wasn't there?
Yeah, because I also like that might be to do with 505 not
it's all the corporate suits high up above.
Yeah, because I don't think Control and Death Stranding did particularly well in sales, like for
Especially
what they
Control,
cost. So I don't know.
But yeah, I've actually just looked up a picture of this face change, and I'm like, it really doesn't need to be done. I'm not going to rage out about it, but I'm like, I kind of did like the older one more because it is supposed to be a more mature Spider-Man.
Yeah, now he looks like 20-something.
I feel like this mentor figure to Miles. It's weird if you look the same age as him, kind of in a way.
Like Miles looks a little bit older because they changed Miles's face as well.
Yeah, strange.
But I don't know. Like it's the guy's in a mask 3/4 of the game.
Ultimately, yeah, the game's still going to be amazing because it was a really good game.
And it's also still Spider-Man. He's in a fucking mask.
Yeah, it's going to look even better.
So they put Minecraft in Super Smash Brothers.
Oh boy, yeah.
Which is, I'm actually kind of glad we delayed by a day to talk about this because that stream from Nintendo.
Yeah,
well,
Sakurai.
the sad Sakurai stream.
He looks so tired all the time. Bless him.
He's just so, and like that stream's so weird. Like he had like the update, like there was this update, and then he was just like, "No one works at my company. It's just an organizational body of just me. Do not send me your CVs, please."
All right, bro.
And it's just like, oh my god, this guy is so done.
Yeah.
But he's just putting out,
understandably so. Making Smash must be like one of the most stressful things in the world.
And especially like this Minecraft stuff. So Steve, it's okay. So they're putting Minecraft Steve with a bunch of alternate costumes.
Yeah, the girl skin and the zombie.
Yeah. And like there's different variations for the girls and the boy.
Different colors.
Is it Alex?
Alex, yes.
Alex and Steve. But like this, so that was fine. But then the stream came on, and they were like, "Yeah," and we had to rework every map in the game.
Put blocks on them, yeah.
So yeah, and then the depth of stuff in these maps. So like the DK map with all the wooden panels will only produce wood.
Yeah.
And then Star Fox's stage will produce iron or steel because
kind of matches the stage aesthetic, yeah.
And then there's like a bar for like, okay, then you get up to diamond.
Yeah. It's those kind of things that make Smash really special, in my opinion.
Yeah, and
it was one of my probably my favorite game of the year when it did come out.
I didn't bounce off it, but I dropped it quicker than I thought I would.
It's just a shame the online sucks as hard as it does.
I think I
did literally everything there was to do in the game that didn't require online, and then obviously I went to go and try to do the online stuff, knowing it was a bit dicey, and I just can't do it. I just can't do it to myself.
Yeah, it requires like a wired connection, and it's just too much effort with the Switch. Like you've got to get like a USB-C adapter and with an Ethernet port on the end, and you don't know if it's going to work anyway because Nintendo are weird like that.
But I've still sorry, go ahead.
No, so they were showing off like his move set, and then like how he reacts to like other characters' move sets. So Hungry Box, who is a Smash Pro player, primarily plays Jigglypuff.
Yes,
I think it started out as like a troll of like, this is how good I am, I can play with Jigglypuff, but it's like then he actually made Jigglypuff go up the tier list.
Got viable.
And so they were like, okay, how does Steve go to sleep? and he just straight up gets in the bed when Jigglypuff sings to him.
That's cute.
And then they showed the Minecraft Kirby, which is
when he gets sucked
Kirby exactly the same, but he's a cube.
Just a cube Kirby.
I was like, this is great.
Yeah, it was a good. There could have been some proper nightmare fuel if they'd have chose to handle it a different way.
I'm wondering if it's like always. I'm gonna guess he's always Cube Kirby, because it would be good if there was like Enderman Kirby.
Oh yeah. He'll still just
Zombie
go
Kirby,
kind of polygonal. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like there's been a few. I feel like there's been a few duds with the Smash.
Oh, definitely.
Like, DLC
for the larger community at the very least. Yeah. I mean, I've bought both of the season passes, so I will play this when it comes out. I'll give him a go. But yeah, I feel like this kind of the past few really haven't really hit quite like I feel like they wanted to. Starting with Byleth, I think.
Yeah. So.
Which was a massive thing for me. I mean, Three Houses is my favorite game of last year, so I love Byleth. I was well happy it was in, but the larger community absolutely hated it because they were like, another fucking Fire Emblem protagonist.
And it's like, but it's also like Nintendo at large. Like, we need to fucking put Byleth in it just because we want to fucking do this. But you know, I know people weren't too happy with Terry from Final Fight.
Oh. Don't even talk to me, man. Terry's like my favorite character now. He's so much fun to play as.
Well, this is every time any of these things get announced, it's always the same, like, roundabout turn, you know, that these people have, which is, oh, I can't believe they've put fucking Terry in, and then it's like, actually, Terry's the best character in the game.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm just kind of more chill than a lot of people on the internet.
You are like
fighting game guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
fuck yeah, Terry. I love Terry.
I appreciate that. Like, it's now weird that there are two Microsoft properties in.
Yeah.
Like Banjo-Kazooie
and Steve or whatever.
And Steve.
Is he? The best thing is I want to hear the announcement.
Voice like, yeah, Steve. Enderman.
Because obviously the best line from the Smash announcement kind of voice before was always the fighting me team, where it was like, fighting me team.
it always sounds like
I want it to be the fighting Steve team.
It's always Minecraft. It always sounds like it's like several cuts.
And there's some of them where he's been like taken by surprise a little bit, so it'll be like Jigglypuff. Like, ooh, kind of thing. But,
Mario.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen kind of the reaction to the Steve stuff. I mean, my reaction kind of immediately from that was, I can definitely see why they've done it. It is absolutely a big deal because Minecraft is like the best-selling game like all time.
Oh, of course, and then also apparently like this is like they've tried and failed multiple times, which is why it leaked ages ago that Minecraft was potentially coming to
a point where they can actually.
Like apparently this is the work and stuff like that was a lot, so they just like, okay, we need to put these other characters in first before we can even get to this.
So I was kind of just in a mindset where I was like, well, I mean, Minecraft, a lot of people, I mean, I watch Maximilian on YouTube. He's like possibly my favorite YouTuber, and he put it really well, because he was like, yeah, it may not be for us as like, you know, the retro gaming fans who kind of play Smash for the nostalgia overload, but what you don't realize is that Minecraft is actually a pretty old game now, and some of those kids who would have grown up playing Minecraft are adults now, and so it's nostalgic to them.
2010.
Yeah, it came out in like 2009 on PC at first.
So if you think like
you're 18 now.
If you think like a kid, you know, asked their mums for their debit cards, and got it when in like 2010, 2011, and then you think like, oh shit, yeah, no, those people would be nearly like 20,
so it's like,
or in their 20s.
While it wasn't our dreams that came true, it was someone else's who did. And like I said, from a business standpoint, I can absolutely see why Nintendo did it.
And you know, and also it's just a cool thing. Like,
yeah,
you know,
you couldn't have this kind of like game now that's got this like retro. What's the word? reputation is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Reputation as this, it's not even just a Nintendo thing anymore. It's just this all-star celebration of video games together. You couldn't have that without eventually adding in Minecraft.
Yeah, and it's and also at the same time, it's like this really cool like progression of seeing, you know, Nintendo have opened up. Like their mandate from a few years ago where they were like, yeah, we'll be licensing out Nintendo, you know, the Nintendo properties and
mobile games and all that. Yeah,
mobile games, theme parks, you know, the Minion Studios working on a Mario movie. You know, you're starting to see that expand. There's Lego sets and all this, and you know, and you're also seeing it in their games where it's just like, yeah, they're not closing out Microsoft. Like, obviously, they don't want, you know, obviously the xCloud stuff fell through because probably for the same reason, like it's fallen through with Apple, where it's just like, oh, we want our cut actually, and Microsoft are just like, it doesn't work like that. Like, but you know, like Ori and the Blind Forest, Minecraft, you know, they're all on Nintendo platforms.
It's a win-win situation at the end of the day because it's like,
yeah, and it's just a positive. It's just like within the giant corporate world and everything. It's just like this nice positive thing to know that like these, you know, companies aren't locking themselves out this gen. Like towards the end of this gen and the next gen, like I'm hoping like to see more mingling and
crossplay.
You know, crossplay and you know, like like the fact that there's now crossplay and it's now like no, it needs to have crossplay to be viable.
Yeah. I mean,
you know, I don't ever expect to see like Smash on an Xbox.
No, of course not. It's never going to get that. But
no,
just some kind of camaraderie and a little bit of crossover between the two.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
So I'll give Steve a go when he comes out. His playstyle looks not usually like my kind of thing, but at the very least I'll give it a go. I thought the same thing about Min Min, to be fair, when she came out. And when I played as Min Min, I was like, this is actually pretty cool. So I'll give it a go.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of when they put like some of the stuff like, you know, you can get items throughout the fight and that'll power you up, and kind of reminds me a little bit of when they put Phoenix Wright in Marvel 3. Versus Cat. Yeah,
to like level up your He was a weird character to play as, and I suck at Marvel as well.
So speaking of crossovers, Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, you said you were going to come in with some Magic news. I've still not hopped back in, so I'm curious to see what this new Magic hotness is.
So, Magic the Gathering is on fire, basically, and it's
before you go into that, actually, I did just remember I did see. Was there a live stream that happened? And I heard, because I think I follow a couple of Magic people on Facebook. I think it was like Tellurian Community College or something. Was just like, I basically feel shat on, and I was like, oh god, what's happened? But I didn't actually look into it.
So. Right. Should we just rewind a little bit? So Magic the Gathering has had major issues within its actual game for a long time, since Kaladesh, which is 2016.
Right.
Of, you know, standard is consistently broken. They're trying to creep the power, you know, power creeping and stuff like that, where they're just trying to push it a little bit, but they're losing focus of what like actually makes, you know, Magic. Yeah, Magic. You know, previous standards have been fair, but there's always, you know, as with any card game, like Hearthstone's also the same. There's always a meta. And the meta, you know, usually dictates what the decks are. The most recent set, Zendikar, has introduced like a 4-color legendary creature. And within the rules, you can only have one of them on the field, but the effects on this creature are so ridiculous. Within they work within landfall, which is every time a land comes out onto the field, an effect happens.
Okay.
But there are too many cards within standard that allow you to put extra land cards on the field, and you're only allowed to put one per turn. And so there's a lot of ways to like ramp and cheat out quick mana, and so one of the most recent tournaments, there was only 2 decks that weren't the
based on this mechanic.
4-color Omnath decks, which is ridiculous. Like, that is a broken game.
That shows that your game is not balanced.
Your game's not balanced. Something's clearly wrong, and usually the thing is ban the cards.
Just ban what's needed. Yeah.
Wizards decided to ban. This is basically the ire started to build up, and then what we're going to be talking about in a second is basically what sent everything over the edge. The Wizards decided to ban a card from Theros, which is so the current standard is Eldraine,
right?
Throne of Eldraine, Theros, Core 21, and the latest Zendikar set. All the cards that are currently an issue have either rotated out and are now mithering Historic, which is fine. Like, Historic has tons of answers for all these things.
Yeah.
They didn't ban the issue cards in Zendikar because that's the current set that they want to sell. So Omnath didn't get banned, etc., etc.
So they rolled bans out, but not for the thing that really needed it.
So they banned a card called Uro, which is a card that you can put out on the field, but you basically it immediately dies after its effect is resolved, and goes to the graveyard, and it basically sits there. Until you can exile like 5 or 6 cards out of your graveyard to get it onto the field properly. With a more expensive cost, because it's a powerful creature. Like, every time it attacks, you can put a land card on the field and gain life and draw a card. It's ridiculous.
It's a big strong boy.
It's a big strong boy, and so they banned that card because it was frequently featured in these decks. Turns out that's not the issue. Turns out the issue is all within Zendikar, and they won't ban any of the cards within Zendikar because that's where
they want people to buy.
Yeah, because it's on the fucking cover, and it's just like, well, and they've already had this fuck up last year with Eldraine when Oko had to be banned, and he's on the front cover of everything, and
so
he was the chase card
in balancing these kind of feature cards that are like, this is going to be the new shit, but it's actually like still way too much.
Yeah, and it just feels like they're not paying attention to what the community's doing, which is, we're now we're in the thick of the information age.
Yeah.
Like, there are spreadsheets immediately, like, people figured out, like, rotation's supposed to be the point where, like, a month later, here's the deck everyone's playing.
Yeah.
It's been usually the case. And it's gotten quicker and quicker as time's gone on, but this was within a day.
Oh no.
Like, this was like a week went by and it was already an issue. It's just all over Reddit, it's all over forums.
Wow.
Like, so that was already a point of ire. So Wizards have been doing these secret lair packages, basically. They are limited time items, the physical cards,
right?
Usually come in a nice little package. The first ones were like, here's 4 Bitter Blossoms, which is a nice rare card. It's basically a way for them to sell singles without actually saying like these cards are worth anything, because it's like they've got unique art and it comes with a code for Arena, and you like the card's not in Arena, but it comes with a sleeve for Arena to show that you've bought it. So they've been fine.
Nice little sort of thing.
Yeah, you definitely get a case of FOMO. I own one. I bought the one which had like the 5 color commanders on them.
Oh, cool.
Because they were like unique art and stuff like that. And I also wanted those cards, but so they have entered new territory with these secret lairs. So usually it's like reprints of cards with unique art.
Oh god, I hope you're not going where I think you're going with this.
They are now printing the next upcoming Secret Lair is a crossover with The Walking Dead.
Oh, okay. Is it a unique card that you can't get anywhere else?
Yes.
Fuck's sake.
And not silver bordered. So within Magic, silver border means it's a unique card for this weird, what they call unsets, which are basically
thing.
like the unsets are like basically like you go to a pre-release and you can see people playing backwards or under a table, standing on tables. When you win the game, the other person has to buy you a drink. Something it's got stupid rules in them. Yeah, but within the confines of a Magic game.
I feel like I've seen a few sets like that. They go back quite a long way, don't they?
Yeah, and like the thing that they always entice you in with is like there's full art land cards that you can't get anywhere else. So what usually happens is people buy the booster boxes, strip them of all the land cards, and then sell them as draft packs on the cheap. So you can end up getting like the full unsets for like 25 quid if you're lucky, depending on what's in the packs. These Walking Dead cards are unique cards, black bordered. So they are legal in Eternal formats.
Yep.
Including Commander, Legacy, and Vintage.
Okay.
Which is already a big no-no. Because you can't get them anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And they feature Rick, Glenn, Marshawn, and Negan.
Yes.
So the issue people took with Negan was like, why are you promoting this kind of terrible character? Like, with it's not something you want to make. It felt a bit weird when they put him in Tekken.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up. I was like, he seems like a really popular character, even though he is a horrible person. It was a pretty big deal when he was in Tekken.
And then it turns out he's actually kind of shit in Tekken.
Yeah, you can customize him to make him look ridiculous, though.
So he's not the sort of character that you would put in for your fun and games.
That's actually a very good point. I didn't consider that. If this is supposed to be the really fun set, you're like, yes, give me the guy who bludgeons people to death with his nail bat
and rapes people, and all this.
I know nothing about Walking Dead. I've only watched it.
He's a bad dude. He's a bad dude.
Man.
Which is fine. Magic has always featured bad guys and stuff like that, but none of them have ever been like based in reality. It's always like a dragon's trying to take over the earth.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
So, but then the other stinging point with this is that the Rick card is actually people have pointed out, we've been asking for a white commander card that's actually decent for a while, and this is it, and no one can get hold of it because you have to be within a certain, not the entire world can't order these.
Yeah.
So this stream happens, and they basically are defending. It is a weird stream.
Capitalism.
Yeah, because it's also Hasbro's trying to like sell more of this shit that's making them tons of money. Because guess what? The nerds keep complaining, but I guarantee that these things will sell out.
They'll buy it. Yeah,
they'll buy them within the 48 hours it's available. Oh man, it's just so bad because like these cards are like viable, like actually viable within the formats that they're available in.
Of course, that's the frustrating part. Yeah, because if they were these cards that could be used in all of these different formats and stuff, but they were completely wank and not usable in any way, people wouldn't care.
Or if they were silver, people said if they were silver bordered, and then it was up to people whether they allow, because some commander pods, some commander play groups and stuff like that will allow silver bordered cards, because it's fun. Commander's a casual format where there's rules in place, but there's a ban list. But it's up to the play group if they follow by it.
Rules kind of thing,
yeah. So, and then the other sticking point was the commander. It's the commander council. I can't remember what they actually call them. The Rules Council
Okay.
happens to have some Magic, Wizards employees on it, and
so this Rules Council
is meant to be independent of Wizards.
Right. Okay.
Set up because like it's EDH, was set up by the community essentially. So this Rules Council's been around for ages. None of them, but now there's some Wizards employees on it, or like there's some monetary, reason that they didn't ban these cards from Commander, which immediately pissed everybody off.
Well, yeah, you're supposed to be policing this thing, and now you're
and now you're letting these cards in that break the ethic, not the ethics, like the spirit of the format. Where
there's this like supposed to be this third party body for this card game. It's like, why would Wizards be like, you have any say about what?
So this is also like Wizards versus Wizards have always had an issue with the council at large, but like the council had to ban a card from Ikoria, one of the more recent sets. That's also in standard. Had to ban from Ikoria like a card that immediately broke Commander, because it was built around. It would just break. It basically the Rules Council ban cards that become like, oh, we're noticing like 99% of decks are including this.
But presumably for like the main kind of MTG Pro Tour or whatever, do they have jurisdiction over that, or is that a Wizards thing?
So Commander has never had like a legitimate tournament because it's casual. Yeah. Like,
but generally speaking, if you were speaking like standard,
so
would they have power to ban this card for a tournament that's literally run by Wizards themselves?
Yeah.
What? That's crazy to me. I can't believe Wizards are letting them get away with this.
So no, but this is the thing. This is the thing. It's like Wizards put out the product, but then they don't have to. But it's easier for them because now they don't have to manage the game.
I guess so. There's people who want to do it for them.
Like it's like at the end of the day, like Wizards have only just realized like fairly recently, because like the commander sets that come out from Wizards have only been coming out for a little while. Like in the long scheme of things, like I think from like 2012 2013 was like when the first Commander sets started coming out from Wizards directly, where they started acknowledging Commander.
You get the big card.
And now Wizards have realized, oh, Commander's the most important format we've got because it's what everyone's fucking playing. Because Standard's broken.
Yep.
Modern's too expensive. No one fucking plays Legacy because it's Legacy. Vintage is for weirdos. And Pauper's over there like shaking its hands like, we're incredibly popular with the community. Oh my god, please pay attention to us. Please put out these cards again and in some form. Like we're just asking for some common cards that haven't been printed for years. And Wizards just sort of go shh. No. There's nothing. There's no money for us in Pauper. Like there's, but like Pauper decks get up to like the hundreds of pounds because like, and that has its own like rules and like what's banned in Pauper and stuff. Yeah, like so this Walking Dead crossover, it's just fucking. Also, it's like predatory in a way that Magic has always been slightly predatory.
Yeah,
but it's always skirted around it, where it's just like, like people, at the end of the day, like you can buy the singles from reputable people on different websites, and
because there's really no likelihood that you're going to be able to make what you're going to want to make just by buying random card packs.
Exactly. Like, and Wizards don't acknowledge the secondary market because then that means that it's gambling.
Yeah,
because they have to acknowledge that the cards actually are valuable. But this is like, haha, you don't have these exclusive cards. So Mark Rosewater is basically the lead designer.
I'm aware of him. I watched his GDC talk.
Yes, very interesting guy. Smart guy. His podcast is also incredible because he has a memory like So like his podcast, he goes through like some of the sets that he was lead designer on, like in the 90s and early 2000s, and like he's driving usually when he's talking into his phone to record this podcast, but then he's like got a list of like the cards that he was, that were in the set, and he's just like he remembers everything about each individual card, like what what was the decision behind this set of cards? What's the
Yeah.
So he's super interesting dude. I think he's currently just in a position where he has lost a lot of the Wizards have lost a lot of the power to the suits. Like Magic makes a lot of money, and they of course they're going to bleed it dry. Like Ikoria had the Godzilla crossover.
Yeah. I was wondering if that was another one of those special pack things you were saying, but
yeah, no. So this was like, within like the collector boosters, there was a chance for Godzilla themed cards.
Yeah.
But the difference was like, oh, it's exactly the same functionality as this card in the regular set.
Right.
Like it literally has. It would say like Godzilla King of Monsters, and then underneath it'll have
kind of
like basically in brackets like what the card actually is.
Okay, that's a nice little thing.
So they're just alternative like art stuff.
Even if I don't get back into Magic, I think I'd still want to collect those because I love Godzilla.
Yeah, so I was also in the same mindset, and then I saw the prices online, and I was just like, no. But but then he was just like, yeah, these cards have the same functionality as the Godzilla cards, but we didn't. But for aesthetic reasons, we didn't print the card name underneath.
What, for the Walking Dead ones?
Yeah. So like the card that they might relate to, because I don't think those cards exist.
Well, yeah, he can say that, but I mean, people have
because people have gone through everything, and it's just like, well, these cards don't exist anywhere else.
It's very easy to tell for, as you said, for the Rick card, which was like a white planeswalker. There aren't too many that
no.
this isn't the same.
So this is the thing: they're not planeswalkers. They're creature cards.
Oh.
Which means they can be commanders in Commander.
Right, of course.
Which is the issue. Like Brawl is where you can have planeswalkers as your commander, but like the text on them has direct, like the Daryl card has, like the Norman Reedus card basically has straight up text on it that says like create 3 walkers or something.
Yeah.
So does that, when these, presumably if they are just cards that are going to exist at some point in time, does that just get changed to zombies?
Yeah.
Or do they stay as walkers? Because then that's, you got to errata the Oracle text, and you got to it's just a mess. Like Magic is this like arena. The arena client is a mess because like certain parts of it are just straight up broken. Every time I launch the game, it comes up, oh, the game's broken. I've got to just checking integrity of files, and then rebuilding the database. And even then, I'll get into some games and like some card art will be missing. Like way too long loading times. Like
I remember when I used to play Arena, the main thing I used to enjoy was Draft.
Yeah, so like that, and this is the surprising thing. Like everything outside of Draft seems to be on fire.
Yeah,
because Zendikar Draft's really fun. Arena's paper draft is really in-person draft is really fun.
Yeah.
I really, 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 really fucking enjoy like going for the premium draft experience without the bots.
Oh yeah.
So like now you're going against other people. I feel
like that's what I would play if I do jump back into it.
I love the game to pieces, and I know a lot of the people complaining at the minute do, but there's a guy from MTG Goldfish, Saffron Olive, who does a lot of video work. He does like budget decks and like here's a deck, and gives you ideas of where to go. He's really knowledgeable about the stuff, but he put an article out was basically just like, don't give wizards your money.
Yeah, literally. I mean, that's what it's going to take at this point. Yeah.
At this point, like, people are still going to give them the money, but if you are really unhappy with the game, there is still ways. But like, I didn't read the whole thing. I should really read the whole thing. But like, the core message was like, don't give wizards your money, and I have to agree. Like, there are ways to play that game by, it becomes slush funds basically because you're paying other people who are buying the product and stuff like that. Whatever. But buy the singles from people online. You can still get into the game without handing your money directly over to wizards.
Yeah.
There is enough product out there opened and in single form that wizards will never see a penny from it. And like, don't buy this Walking Dead crossover thing because it just sends the wrong message.
Absolutely, yeah. If it sells, then they'll just do more, won't they?
Yeah, it's gonna be a thing.
Wow.
Like,
there's how this develops.
There's another guy on YouTube that basically when people say take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah.
This is like take it with a whole shaker of salt.
Big old salt pile.
Like you used to clean up puke. He's called Rudy. Alpha Investments. He is a MTG card seller basically. But he mostly deals with like sealed product.
Right.
Interesting guy to listen to because he's got economic experience.
Yep.
But also he's kind of a shady dude because he hoards sealed product so that it goes up when it comes out of print, then he can boost all the prices up.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
He's got the money to do so. He's got more money than a lot of the other people do because I think he came from housing and development and like property stuff. I think he potentially made some of his money off the financial crash.
Okay. This is a nice little side hustle for him.
So this was the side hustle, and then it's actually now
the hustle.
The hustle, because he said like Magic cards don't depreciate in value like stock.
Yeah.
Or he's got he collects a particular type of card. He buys cards out so that he owns them all, and then he can set the price.
Yeah.
But he's got. No one knows whether to believe him or not because he said some bullshit in the past. But I've got it is take it with a grain of salt sort of person. But I think he's got some like inside scoop with some of the people.
Yeah.
And there's been some other crossover stuff that he says like has been in the works and just fallen through. Castlevania. It was like Castlevania, Game of Thrones, that sort of stuff.
I don't know if I want to bother with Game of Thrones anymore.
Well, this is the thing. Like he says, like a lot of the stuff has fallen through just from like because it's now too late. Like The Walking Dead's a weird one. Like The Walking Dead hasn't been a thing. Like hasn't been like a major thing since at least 2014, 2015.
It's still like semi-relevant, yeah, because it's just like there's still some people that watch it.
It's like always surprising that it's on.
Yeah. Oh, this is still going, huh?
Yeah. But yeah, no, the game's on fire. I don't know.
Interesting. Oh, we'll keep a track of this.
Keep a track because it's interesting to watch like the community
from a distance.
But also like seeing like Reddit. So, like I'm in two Magic Reddits subreddits. I'm in the Magic the Circle Jerking.
Of course,
which does all the memes because the official Magic subreddit is only for serious discussions. No fluff.
Of course, low effort content.
No fun allowed. And obviously the circle
game.
Yeah, obviously like the circle jerking has like gotten to the point where it's got to the
Oh yeah,
Walking Dead cards bad to the left. For your upvote.
Yeah.
But it's funny to have seen like the community, like the entire community at large, just basically get to the point of like unanimous agreement that this is a bad idea.
It takes a lot for a community that large to agree on something.
Yeah, and it's like even and I'm wondering if it's like hit like some of the Magic community, like you only play Arena and don't really know anything about this. Don't play physical Magic.
Yeah.
Like I miss physical Magic so much. But this entire thing is just like making me feel a little bit sick. So yeah, is there any other news that I know Famitsu put out, before we close the show out, I know Famitsu put out pictures of the PS5.
Oh yeah.
In 8K resolution.
Ooh.
Basically they just took it with a fancy DSLR camera. That thing is large.
Yeah, he's a big lad.
They say it's very quiet though.
Happy about that. My PS4 is quite noisy. Yeah.
My Switch was getting noisy.
The fan sometimes goes absolutely mental.
Mario Galaxy and 64 it's fine with, but Sunshine it was like freaking the fuck out.
Actually, yeah, that was something we didn't mention way back when, is that we both finished Sunshine.
We did. I have a video series coming out.
So,
if you want a 4-part video series coming out on our YouTube, which if you just want to see the descent of me getting my hopes and dreams crushed.
I did watch
the further and further. Yeah. But yeah, no, that PS5 looks fucking huge.
It's a big boy. I'm gonna have to think about where that's gonna go. Is it the kind of thing where you can lay it on its side?
Yes, I think the plastic bit allows you to lay it on its side.
That'll be all right.
But I know Lauren and Ollie are now considering like, oh, we're gonna have to buy a new cabinet.
Struggle.
because
Sony.
Because of a dog.
Yeah.
Because that thing looks like it'll just suck up hair.
Yeah.
And like within its little collar bit.
Luckily, Monty's not nearly as destructive as Melvin is.
So yeah, let's end this show, Jacob.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Jacob.
No bother.
We hope you have a lovely week.
Yes, and we'll be back again
soon. You can find us at superprofessional.co.uk.
Best place to go.
Best place to go. It's got all the links. Goodbye.
Bye.